Fury, you, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
I figure it's been a little while since we've started out with some Oos. And, of course, excited. Jimmy returns, finally.
Never going to argue some good Usos.
Well, you know, and it's cool now because he's kind of acting like Jay used to at the beginning before he kind of just said, fuck it, I'm going to acknowledge him as the head of the table.
Yep.
And so it looks like it's going to be the same thing, although I think in the end it's still going to turn out Jimmy is going to be kissing the tribal chief's ass, just like his brother. And
we're getting a full-blown Samoan faction. There's no denying.
And I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Ward Report podcast, brought to you by TagMeADate.com, first and only dating site for wrestling fans. Hopefully going to be back this year. We're waiting on some people to join, but you got myself and Kat, and we're going to try and break down the week in wrestling. One thing I did want to start with, last week we talked about the Savage biography, which we all kind of agreed was really well done. There were some things, obviously, you felt should have been. I will say this, to kind of go back on what you were saying about that whole thing and how you felt at certain points and the way it kind of portrayed Savage, and obviously in a negative light. I read something today that Eric Bischoff has publicly said that he regrets ever doing or being a part of the biography, and that if he knew that that's how the portrayal was going to come across, that him and his wife would have never been a part of it. So
that's interesting. I'm glad to kind of hear it too, because like I said, that was kind of a little messed up last week. So, you know, I said, I kind of agree. I was disappointed on a lot of things, the way that they did it, because it's no secret about the whole Randy Savage, Elizabeth being locked in a dressing room. That's never been a big shocker.
Right.
But some of the stuff, like I said, and I have to, I can't believe I'm saying this, I have to agree with Eric Bischoff.
Listen, you know, Bischoff, I love Bischoff. I was glad to see him a part of it. You know, I don't know. It's hard because I get it. Like, I understand why Bischoff would say what he said about, you know, regretting doing it, but I don't think it was that bad. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Savage was fucked up and had issues, you know, like a lot of pro wrestlers. Like, this isn't, you know, he dabbled in drugs. He dabbled in steroids. He didn't treat Elizabeth, you know, as great as she should have, or as he should have. I mean, these are facts. Right. So what, we regret being a part of it because they spoke the truth? Like, I still didn't think he came across as badly as people are thinking. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
See, here's my thing. And I don't know if you ever saw the Dark Side of the Ring. That was a match made in heaven either. That was Randy Savage and Elizabeth's Dark Side of the Ring episode, which also happens to be an excellent one.
I mean, they were all excellent.
Right.
But
we all know this. My two favorite wrestlers of all time, Chris Benoit and Macho Man Randy Savage. So anything that has the Savage name on it, I'm watching it. And dynamic wise, like Jake the Snake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat, who actually, I think Ricky Steamboat actually put Randy Savage in a tremendously good way in the biography. So let me just make sure that I get that out there, that I think that Ricky Steamboat was great. They all talked about like what the locker room was like back then, what they did, the pranks, the ribbings, the shitting in the luggage. I mean, they probably some of them probably still do it now. And that was taken into perspective how a lot of them said that's why he kept her as sheltered as she did. Sherry Martel has even said that it was no place for a woman back there, but since she fought like a man, she didn't give two shits. So as much as I don't think any woman should be held back by somebody, I kind of agree with along the lines of him trying to keep her away from that. And that's where I think a lot of the discrepancy, because Jimmy Hart didn't do him any favors at all. And a lot of them, some of the stuff they said, it's just like, yeah, you know, he was my best friend. You know, we were tight. We rode up and down together and everything like that. But, and then they go into this long sob story of all the crazy shit they did and he did and everything, which I'm sure they all did it back there. But it's always just pinned at him because of the fact that he was married to Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can understand him wanting to be protective. I mean, you know, that is being a good husband. You're trying to protect your wife. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, there's a line to protecting your wife where it almost becomes more controlling than it is looking out for, in my opinion.
Right. No, I can agree with that.
And Savage was borderline there. Like, you know, like, for example, they talk a lot about in the they talk a lot about it in the biography how, remember, Savage would point and say, no, you stand here, kind of thing.
Right.
The impression given was that wasn't shtick. That's how it was inside and outside. That was Randy Savage and Randy Poffo. That was one and the same.
But that was also, right. But then the thing was, no one can actually say, besides the two of them, and they're both deceased, if that was storyline or if it was real. There's no way to concur either way, because Vince McMahon wasn't part of the bio. He's not going to be part of the bio. He's not going to say anything.
Well, first of all, he was in there, but he wouldn't say anything.
But he wouldn't say anything. I should say he was in there, but his responses were very limited, is what I mean.
Right.
He was gatekeeping her. Oh my God.
Well, you know what? I get what she's trying to say.
I know.
You know, but
from a 12-year-old.
Right. But, you know, in a way, she's not wrong. I mean, it did seem, I don't know.
I'm on the fence about it. Like, I get your perspective, but I get, like I said, I get Bischoff's, because Bischoff and his wife, I can't remember her name, sorry, they can only give the perspective of what they know coming from WCW days. They can't give any perspective from WWE days, so to speak. And from the WCW aspect, since they were separated and everyone has said they had a decent relationship, they had made amends, and, you know, they worked everything out. So for it to come off as any, in his impression of what the negative portrayal of what he believes they were talking about him in WWE, he didn't think that was fair. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I thought overall, it's hard because from a wrestling, it's almost like Benoit in a way. And let me clarify that. So, as a wrestling fan,
mm-hmm.
and as somebody that appreciates the actual wrestling and not the whole performance, really, you know, like at the end of the day, people like you and I and the rest of the crew are watching the wrestling, and we're picking out things and, Vince, especially, I mean, Vince will dissect every little section of a match, which, listen, he's been around the business for a long time.
Absolutely.
So you get an eye and a feel for it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's almost one and the same, because as a fan, you want to see all the good, and you don't want to think about, oh shit, Chris may have killed his entire family,
right,
and then hung himself, and now he's being wiped out of history, or and I mean, you can't ever wipe him out. It's like trying to wipe out somebody like Hulk Hogan,
Right.
Not same level, but you're not. Diehard fans are going to remember that Chris Benoit was one of the best damn technical wrestlers to ever lace the boots, and Savage as well in a different way. But at the same time, now you put something out like this, and people that don't know Savage the way we knew of him as a performer,
right,
are only going to be like, wow, he was just a dirtbag, kind of thing. So I get it from that perspective too. It's just hard. But
these things have also been circulating for years. I mean, I didn't really, aside from like when I said about like the whole, like what Stephanie, when I say Stephanie, I'm referring to Gorgeous George, what she said about the shooting up aspect that, Angelo was giving it to him. There wasn't anything really new in there that, if you're wrestling fans like we are, that we didn't already know or that we hadn't heard already. We knew what happened with Lex Luger. We knew what happened when she came in to the business when she was working at the gym. We knew all of this stuff. So it was interesting to see it from a different perspective, but there wasn't any like shockers. Like, I don't know if you saw the Booker T one. The Booker T one had my mouth on the floor 90% of the episode because I couldn't believe the stuff that this man had been through.
Yeah, no, it's on the DVR. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Right.
I mean, Booker T, I know, had a very tough childhood, and it's going to be a very interesting. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. I am enjoying. I am enjoying so far all of them.
Me too.
Listen, at the end of the day,
like the Randy Savage one, so I don't want that to be misconstrued that I didn't like it, because, like I said, anything with Randy Savage.
No, I'm really only saying somebody like Eric Bischoff now is hating it and just regretting, which, listen, I get it. I mean, listen, he was a part of it, so he has, it's easy for a guy like me to say I'm just sitting here, shooting the shit, but at the end of the day, I think overall they're doing a great job with the series. I look forward to it.
We don't know if there's stuff he said that got edited out too, that he wanted to make sure it was in there. You know what I mean?
Here's one other thing I will say, and then I want to move on. But I think knowing Lonnie Poffo, the way that I know him to an extent, I did spend some time with him, and then things that I've heard and known over the years, there is nobody more protective over the Randy Savage name and brand than he is.
That's true.
His brother was everything, and I would imagine for Poffo to agree to be a part of it, that he would have had to have a say in what airs and what doesn't. Now, I could be totally wrong, but I would just imagine, because he is that kind of protector, I can't imagine there was anything in there that was not true that he didn't say, oh, fuck no, that you're not putting that in. You know what I mean? Like, even the thing about his dad shooting Savage up, with the roids, if it wasn't true, I'm not so sure that Lonnie Poffo would have been okay with it airing. Now, maybe he didn't have a say, but I don't know.
Also, Lonnie Poffo is not one to come out and criticize someone for what they say in general, period. He's never called anybody a liar or called anybody this when there's been stuff blown out of proportion or not completely accurate when it came to him. He's vocal, but he's not as vocal to be like, oh, wait, no, I want a retraction printed on that. He's never done that.
I don't know. I think more and more will come out as time goes on and they start diving more in. I mean, if they even really care to take it that far, but I know, that this was something that I saw today, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is very interesting, because in all honesty, like I said, he didn't say I didn't think anything he said was bad at all. And like I said, I wasn't really even that like, oh my God. And like I said, until Gorgeous George came on there with the stuff, up until that point, if you took that whole segment out, I would have thought the entire show was fantastic. Even talking about the locker room and all that stuff. Because like I said, we already knew all this stuff.
Right.
It's been confirmed by the entire WWF locker room from back then. It was confirmed by Sherry Martel, who got locked in there too and tore Randy Savage a new one over it. It's been out there.
Uh, and that's like the only thing I really didn't know, quite
Mhm.
honestly, was that they were married for as long as they were, and actually on the outs when they decided to do the live wedding.
Oh, really?
That I had no idea. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it shows how good of an actress Elizabeth was.
Right.
Because
Well,
you really believe like this was like, oh my God, it's my wedding day. You know what I mean?
right. Well, if you think about it time-wise, perspective-wise, SummerSlam, that was SummerSlam 91. So the next WrestleMania after was WrestleMania 8, and that was the last time we saw Elizabeth on WWE television.
Right.
So, and that's pretty much when they finally called it, when she pulled the trip to Miami that they talked about.
Right. Well, it's a shame. Everything that happened, it was a very tragic story for both of them,
Yeah.
Elizabeth and Savage. It was just sad. But I want to now. Unfortunately, I'm very unprepared when it comes to this topic, so I'm hoping that you know a little bit. If not, we can always dive into it next week when the crew is all together.
Absolutely. That's the record, though. That is our regular Tara that is typing in. So, hey, Tara.
Hey, Tara. So here's AEW Blood and Guts. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to watch it yet.
I have not yet either.
All right, so then we should dive into it more next week because there seems to be a lot of controversy and a lot of people pissed off about the conclusion and even refunds that were given back. And I've only seen headings. It's just been very busy, and I didn't know. So.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So can't give my insight on that one yet.
I will say, this is twice now AEW has failed to meet expectations.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's happening not on a big deal. It's happening at these big blockbuster pay-per-views. Eventually that's going to start to bite you in the ass.
I'm still going to say this though. If it wasn't for I don't give a shit about the pyro as much as because everything else on that match was spot on. It was who cares?
Oh, the explosion match.
Yeah, I got the explosion match. Sorry, I said pyro, but I still think that pay-per-view was kick-ass. Maybe I'm taking it from a different perspective, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. So that didn't work. But how many times in wrestling scenarios have things been planned out or things that's been done and it doesn't work? It's live. It happens.
Yeah, no, I get that and I agree with you. But at the end of the day, when your entire show is literally based on that ending, and it's a big disappointment, that's where I can see it being an issue. People had a right to be upset. Now, as far as this ending, we'll get more into it next week.
Yeah.
And hi to the Facebook user. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. So we'll dive more into AEW. I guess we should go and talk about SmackDown from last week.
Mm-hmm.
So as we said at the very beginning with our intro, we got Jimmy Uso back. You know what I love?
What do you love?
I love when somebody returns. There was no hints. There was nothing on social media, breaking news, special return tonight. It had been so long already, so it wasn't in the forefront. And then to hear the music and then to see the smile on both their faces.
Yep.
When they break kayfabe, because the emotion takes over because you're so excited to get back and feel that adrenaline.
Yeah,
that's what makes me happy. That's one thing about professional wrestling. Even as a fan sitting there, you still get the goosebumps.
Absolutely.
And so it was nice to see even the hug, the embrace in the ring. Like you could tell, like that was pure joy and excitement. Like, fucking A, I'm back. It's been so long. He looked great.
Yep.
And then, of course, he winds up costing the match, which led to conflict and basically Jimmy telling Jay that he's not going to be a bitch to Roman like he is. And, we'll see how this progresses, but still the best story on TV.
Absolutely.
And I said it last week. You said it last week. I'm going to say it again. I am so fucking pumped about his new theme song.
Yep.
I love everything about it. It works.
It looked good the first night when he was on Daniel Bryan, but it looked even better this week, I think. Just the whole energy from all of them, like Paul carrying the belt and handing it to him, then Paul taking it back and then coming down there. It was flawless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it all works. And, Paul
Heyman giving the 10-minute bell salute was hilarious.
Which apparently was not in the script.
Is that why Roman was laughing?
Yeah, and they said that it was even better because Roman started to laugh, and it was just fantastic. And I was it just I've been waiting for it for so long, and it's happening, and it's just wonderful.
Yep, and again, I have to agree with you again because we both said it last week, and we've been getting some mixed comments from the panel with everything with it, but Pat McAfee was on fire.
I love him. Eric's sitting there in the chat talking all this shit about him. Like, I won't watch as long as he's on. Like, have you at all listened to him? Like, he is actually he's better than the new lead on Raw.
Yeah, and he was hyped up, and he's like dressed in his Vince McMahon because it was the Smack. It was like an old school show or something. I loved him the other night. I think he's getting better week by week, and I think he was doing good from the start.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. SmackDown.
Bianca losing her earring. Oh, my God.
Oh, well, listen, do me a favor. Mm-hmm. I have to go check something real quick. I'm going to be back in 30 seconds. While I'm doing that, talk about that with the Bianca segment.
The Bianca Bailey segment.
Yeah. Because Bailey was on fire too. I'll be right back.
Oh, Bailey's always on fire. So
she's incredible.
Just a little backstory to it then. Bailey was in the ring talking about how she first showed off all the greatest women champions of all time and everything, since it was a SmackDown old school show. Then gave herself the accolades that she was going to be a better champion than Bianca. So Bianca comes out. The two of them have a word of discussion. Bailey then tries to once again get an up on Bianca since she had done it the week before with a leg sweep. It didn't work. So then Bianca and Bailey are going at it for a few minutes. And then one earring in Bianca's ear actually fell out, and she went to take it out completely. And then Bailey managed to grab hold of the other earring and was dragging her around the ring by her hoop, and then managed to step on her hair because, she has the long extensions, and then took the extension and was stomping on her head, holding her down. And that pretty much ended that segment, but it also solidified the fact that at the WrestleMania Backlash that's coming up this Sunday, the women's title is on the line between Bianca Belair and Bailey. So other things that also occurred on SmackDown last week. We already discussed the Cesaro Seth Rollins. We discussed the Bianca Belair Bailey. They did do some prior vignettes to show off about what happened in SmackDowns of yesteryear. We did get the confirmation also that there will be a tag team title match at this upcoming WrestleMania Backlash, that it will be first time a father and son are competing for the tag team titles. So.
Now, here's my question, and thank you for holding it down. Where do you think this fucking goes? How do you not have them win and become the first father-son tag team, right?
Oh, you have to, because I think there haven't been that many father-son tag teams. When I actually was Googling this, trying to remember, the only one that comes to mind is when Dusty and Dustin did it at a Royal Rumble eons ago against Virgil and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. I don't really.
I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was actually Dustin's debut, but I don't really remember hearing of that many. I mean, has Randy and his father ever tag teamed together? I don't think Randy and Cowboy Bob Orton have ever tagged together, to my knowledge, either.
You know, that I'm not 100% sure, actually.
So this is like the first time, like, two active roster father and son, who, even though Ray's getting older, he could still obviously keep up because he's still doing a fantastic job.
Well, and even if he couldn't, then he's got Dominic to pick up the slack because he's younger and, you know, he moves like his dad. He's just a little bit bigger. I mean, I'm not trying to say
piggybacks his dad.
Yeah. Ryan thinks they did handicap matches. Who did handicap?
I think he might be saying Bob Orton and Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob Orton.
I don't know. Clarify that, Ryan. But yeah, so I think I can't believe that's this Sunday already.
I know, right? I said, should we get the card and see what that's going to look like?
Yeah, we could do that.
Let's see. WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah, Randy and Bob Orton.
Okay, so they did a handicap match. That's interesting. I don't remember that. I do not remember that at all. Okay, so we have Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. I'm saying
I gotta say Bobby Lashley retains the title.
I agree on that. Kind of just talked about the Bianca, Belair, and Bayley. I'm going Bianca on that.
Oh, Bianca for sure.
All right. See, now this is an interesting one, especially what's transpired the last couple of episodes, and I really hate to say this, but the Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Charlotte, I think they're giving it back to Charlotte.
I mean, all signs are pointing in that direction, but they also, I always look at it this way too, right? Like, everyone thinks there's no way Charlotte is going to lose. But the best way to do it is do a triple threat where she's not the one that has to be pinned, and it's like she didn't really lose, even though she. So I'm going to go with the title stays where it is with Rhea Ripley. I don't think they're going to take it off her in 1 month. I could be very wrong, obviously, but that's my gut. And we have unfortunately agreed by Facebook. So
Sarah.
I don't know why her name doesn't come up.
I don't think she hit the StreamYard thing. I think she's just watching it solely off Facebook.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, yeah. So, what else we got?
Roman and Cesaro. We know Roman's taking that.
Cesaro all the way.
I'm not going to answer that one yet. Because I mean, listen, everything in my heart says there's no way Roman loses, right? But then I'm also thinking, like, maybe this is Cesaro's time. Maybe he's the one that can. Maybe Jimmy costs Roman the match.
I would personally love to finally see Cesaro.
It's not going to happen. Roman's going to win, I'm sure.
Exactly. That's what I said. I would love to see it happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
My pick is going to probably be Roman, but my heart wants to see it go that way. You know what I mean? But who the fuck knows?
Right. And then we got the Dirty Dogs versus Ray and Dominic. I'm taking Ray and Dominic on this one.
Yeah, I got to agree with you.
This is scary. We've agreed quite a lot this evening. That doesn't happen.
No, it never happens. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know. It's got to be that there's no one else here, so we got to make the time go smoother. I have. And then as of right now, that's the entire card because they still haven't put up who Shayna and Nia are defending against. I don't give a shit who it is. Just somebody get the straps off those two.
It's not going to be Natty and Tamina?
I would love it to be Natty and Tamina, but they haven't. I don't think they've announced. I think they're waiting for this Friday night's episode to say who it's going to be because they didn't say anything last night on Raw that I recall saying on who they're defending the titles against or whatever, but I just want them.
I'm sure they'll solidify that on.
And you know what?
Well,
That's
shit.
weird. There's no IC title defense.
No, isn't Apollo and Big E? Isn't Big E getting his rematch?
I would have thought he was, but I'm not seeing it on the card here.
Huh.
I don't see that on the card at all, which is weird. You would think it would be.
That is weird.
But it's not.
That's interesting.
That's very not that I have an opposition to them being 2 women title defenses on a pay-per-view, but I'm trying to figure out like the Intercontinental title and the United States title are both not being defended. I don't know why Sheamus. Maybe they were. Well, they could have been booking to set up Sheamus to defend again against Humberto, but who knows after last night now.
Well, right. So speaking of which, I guess that's a perfect segue, Kat, and we'll kind of talk about Raw a little bit. But yeah, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go back. I'm trying to figure out who fucked it up. Like, did Sheamus hang on too long, or did Humberto not get all the way over? I couldn't tell, but it was a horrific looking bump. And from what I'm hearing, Humberto got very lucky, and he was just kind of banged up and shaken up, but nothing serious. But for a minute, it almost looked like he couldn't move his legs, and I was like, holy shit, we're about to have a Drod situation.
I know, and I was there for that, so trust me, that scared the living daylights out of me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
But from what I mean, like, I've watched it like 5 or 6 times now, whatever. I don't think Humberto got it all over the rope, because if you look when he lands, he doesn't land. He's not even landing on his feet. He doesn't have enough room to put his legs anywhere.
Yeah.
He just buckles down and then just drops Sheamus.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised Sheamus isn't that hurt, because that didn't look good on his end falling either, but I don't think it was Sheamus's fault.
Yeah, I watched it back like 12.5 times to try and see, like, and I couldn't pinpoint it. Not that it matters. At the end of the day, I wish him all the best. I hope it's nothing serious, and he comes back, because he's a great talent. He's got a great look. He can wrestle. He can move. He can do some lucha shit. So I'm a fan of the guy. So I hope it works out.
I am. He's got a lot of talent.
I do want to talk about the opening segment of Raw, because, as we all know, Little Miss Bliss was a part of it, and halfway through the match, her and Lily are on the playground swinging on the stage. By the end of the match, it almost appears that the one that they're targeting is Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah.
So I'm very confused. Like, I mean, obviously nothing's going to happen with Charlotte. That's how Charlotte doesn't win. That's how Charlotte doesn't win on Sunday. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen with Lily and Bliss, or, something, whatever.
No, I hope it's Alexa Bliss and not Lily, because if that thing does something, then I'm really scared. But
I just don't know where they're going with this.
I still don't understand why they broke her up and The Fiend. I don't get it.
I mean, there's a lot I'm not understanding, because, I mean, we haven't even seen The Fiend in a while.
Right. That one segment the night after WrestleMania, yeah.
Well, yeah. So I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
We're not doing it. That's why it doesn't make sense. See, if we were doing it, it would make sense.
I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
I have no idea. I still don't understand. And it's an issue thing with Vince McMahon changing the results and changing the plans at short notice, and then not being able to capitalize on what he did. Because,
listen, I understand that, but at the end of the day, if you have something that's working, why fuck with it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it makes me so angry. I hope Alexa stays like this for a while, but they do more with it. We got to get the Fiend back. I mean, this shit, but it's just getting frustrating. Like, they're really destroying it. And then, did you hear this shit with Jim Cornette? That he was bad-mouthing the Fiend character, saying that it's ruined.
See that.
What the fuck was that about?
It's fucking Jim Cornette. He says whatever the fuck he wants, whenever he wants. And he's like, it's coming from the guy that at one point managed, oh my God, what the heck was his name? The Sultan is going to say something about the Fiend.
Fair. But like, it blows my mind. Like, the Fiend is one of the most intriguing gimmicks that have been around in a long time.
Yeah.
And,
The Fiend and
Vince is a crazy old man. Well, ain't that the fucking truth.
But I said, because between the Fiend and Roman Reigns, that's probably, and of course I would never say anything about your little Miss Bliss, or else I know I would get in trouble.
Yeah, right.
As I said, that's job security right there.
Well, but also, and I love the push that they're giving Cesaro. I've enjoyed the feud with him and Seth Rollins.
Yep.
I mean, listen, as long as Seth Rollins doesn't talk, he's exciting to watch because he's great in the ring. It's just his voice gets annoying. But, all in all, so I have to say, too, Raw wasn't bad this week.
No, it was definitely one of the better episodes.
Right? I mean, it was better. We got a follow-up match now with Cedric and Shelton Benjamin, which was a great match.
That was a fantastic match.
Cedric lasted a lot longer than I thought he would, and there were a few times I actually thought they were going to give him the win. Yep. But all in all, that was great. That story's coming together nicely, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
I put that match of the night.
I love that we still have the RK Bro going.
Yes.
I'm also hearing that there's merchandise on the way. So we're going to get some t-shirts. So this is really going to become a team.
Randy, how are we going to make friends if you keep doing this?
I was just going to say that was probably one of the best parts of the entire night when he said that. How are we going to make friends? It's so funny. But the match was great. I love how Orton's like hesitant, but he's doing it. Yep. And what I love more than anything is if you go back and you watch Orton on Austin's podcast, and he talks about he's at a point in his life where he wants to take some of the younger guys and take them under his wing and give back and this and that. And then to know that he personally went to Vince and said, I want to work with Riddle.
Yep.
That says a lot, so I see good things. I think this is going to be a tag team for a while. And then, of course, like any Randy Orton team,
he's going to turn on him eventually.
Eventually, and then we'll have a great feud between those two. So this is a nice setup for Riddle, and it shows that they really like him backstage, and they're giving him the torch to run with it. He's funny as hell, man.
It's just so funny to watch Randy Orton. Like, I'm not doing that. No.
You remember the segment where this was maybe a month ago. And Riddle's backstage and he's riding his fucking thing. And he's talking with Asuka. And he straight up forgets his lines and just like rolls off and like says something under his breath. Mm-hmm. So that was pre-taped.
Yep.
So that didn't need to make the show. Apparently, Vince McMahon almost fell out of his chair and thought it was the funniest fucking thing in the world and said, we're leaving that in the show. So Vince gets it, you know what I mean? Which is good because if he gets it, he gives it more of a chance.
Right. He's so talented, that kid. I can't. He's got great work. He's got that time. He's got the comedic timing. He's just got everything going for him.
He's the type of guy that you watch and think he's been doing this for 10, 12 years.
Yep.
And he's been doing it for what, 4 or 5?
4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. I mean, he's really a pro. And he's a stoner. So he's fucking, and he's a stoner. So he's fucking hilarious.
Yep.
It's wonderful. It's one of the best acts. So, I mean, you got that. So that kind of brings it up a little bit. The match itself was fantastic. I mean, you put the New Day in with them. I mean, it's a home run. I'm loving the whole Almas and AJ deal. I don't really care so much about Riker and Elias, unfortunately, who I am a fan of, but
this gimmick's not working. The storyline's not working at all.
It's not working. He shouldn't be with Riker, and he should be doing his concerts and doing what he used to do, because whether he was shitting on the crowd or behind, with them, it was still a great act. Now it's just not, and he's losing every week. Yeah. I don't think since he's returned, he's won more than a match or two.
See, I would love if when he comes out with the guitar, say he can't shit on the audience, have him walk around to each screen on the Thunderdome.
That's not a bad idea.
And comment to those people. He likes to rank on people, okay? And you're ranking on, because they ask you, do we have permission to zoom in on you, or can we put you in a sequence or something? When it was Drew McIntyre, I think it was Bobby Lashley, when they were wrestling right in front of the TVs. They ask you ahead of time. They'll say, hey, position this one. You okay if the cameras are right here in front of you or whatever? Have Thunderdome members volunteer to get ribbed by Elias. I'm ready.
That's fucking awesome. Sign me up. I'm in.
Please put the camera on me. I don't care. Do it. Yeah, for sure. I think that would be brilliant. And I just think it would be better than the horse shit he's doing now.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's so, overall, you got a lot of things that are working well. Right. So we just have to make sure it continues. What else happened on Raw? Overall, it was. So then Asuka wrestled Rhea Ripley.
Yep.
That kind of ended the way we all kind of figured, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it's leading up, to the match. What else?
We had Charlotte at ringside for that match.
Yeah, well, she came out midway through the match too, which is such a heel move. I fucking love it.
I love it.
I'm just coming to watch.
I love the new look too, even though it's not that big of a drastic change. But that robe with the gear, it's fantastic.
Quite honestly, I think she's looking great. All the work she's had done, yep. The lifts or whatever she's been doing, but I think she looks fantastic. People are ragging on her for getting plastic surgery and this and that. Who gives a fuck? She looks great. Leave her alone. And at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter how she looks. She's one of the best fucking women wrestlers ever in history, and that's all you should care about.
And you know what? Did you see her episode on Stone Cold Steve Austin? The ones that air after Raw?
No.
She went through this whole thing about how she's not a confident person. Charlotte is what brings her confidence. So she said that she wanted to emulate Charlotte every day of her life. So if that's what makes her feel good about herself, even though I think she was beautiful before, knock yourself out. Who cares?
You know what that says? She truly is just like her father.
Yep.
Because Ric Flair lived the gimmick every day of his life.
Yep.
And if he wasn't being the nature boy, there was something wrong. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and what do we always say? To be successful in that business, you have to live the gimmick.
Yep.
You have to believe it as much as you're going to make others believe it. Because if you don't believe it, they can see right through it, and it fails. And then you're out of a job.
Yep, because you can see vignettes when she's that timid girl in NXT. When she's talking, she's not nervous.
Especially early on.
Yeah, she's not nervous when she's wrestling. She's queen of the world, totally. But when she had to take the microphone, you could see the fear in her face. It's completely gone now.
Well, her promo work has gotten worlds better since
the beginning.
We used to talk about how poor her promo work was, and she's really come a very long way with that.
It's kind of like a Roman Reigns thing. She's not trying anymore. She's doing it.
Well, and you have to remember, too, somebody like Charlotte especially, you're young, you just come in, you're Ric Flair's daughter.
Absolutely.
There are not many shoes bigger to fill than that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the pressure for her was insane compared to others.
Absolutely.
Of course, listen, everyone's got pressure, especially, you're trying to live your dream and become your character or whatever. But somebody like Charlotte, you always think, oh, they got it easy because she's a Flair. It's that much mentally harder for that person because that your dad is one of the greatest of all time. So it's I've always given Charlotte a lot of credit, and people can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, she is definitely in the top 3 best women wrestlers of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but what else? Are we missing anything else on Raw? Anything like worth mentioning? I guess. Trying to think.
I mean, the Sonya Deville thing, which I still don't understand what the hell that all is.
I don't know. Something with her and Charlotte. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I know that, but what the fuck is the point of this? I don't know.
Well, we'll know eventually. I mean, this is obviously going to come to a head at some point. We just have to wait and see where it's going. I mean, knowing WWE, they don't even know where it's going.
That's the problem.
I know.
That is the big problem sometimes, that they just book something or plan something. Trying to think. There was something else I was going to mention too, and now I can't. I just drew a total blank. I apologize.
I'm trying to roll it back in my head.
I know. I'm trying to think what else.
3 hours.
I know.
It's so long.
The Miz and Morrison thing going on.
So, I mean, I'm starting to get the feeling that the split is happening soon.
I know. I started getting the ideas of that a couple of weeks ago when Maurice was around, but I don't know why. And I don't, again, another group, a tag team, whatever. I don't understand why they'd split them up. I think the two of them are pure gold.
You know what, though? I'll be honest with you. I'm okay. I've always been okay with those two together. I think they're great and they're gold together. But at the end of the day, I think Morrison will be more successful on his own. Morrison has been the fall guy of the tag team, and Morrison's coming from a place where he was champion.
True.
And you're putting him in low mid card right now, and he's not getting wins or anything else. So I think he's got a better chance being a singles wrestler than being with the Miz. I just hope they give him the opportunity. That's my point. The problem. I don't want Morrison to become Jannetty again.
Exactly. And that's where my concern comes, because I think even though, and I hate to say that, maybe I don't hate to say this, I think John Morrison is a better wrestler, competitor, mic, everything than The Miz, even though I adore The Miz. I don't want it to be sidestepped because of the fact of who The Miz is and what his notoriety is because of the TV show and all that stuff. And, John Morrison gets pushed to the side. That's ultimately my big concern. They did it with heavy machinery for no reason whatsoever. And, look where we are now.
Yeah, but Morrison, if they give him the opportunity, he's phenomenal as a singles wrestler. Absolutely. Miz will always be okay as a singles wrestler. He's proven that, for a long time. Right.
But we lost John Morrison once already. We don't need to lose him again. That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, that's what I'm afraid of.
Exactly.
This will obviously, I see it turning Morrison face. Miz will remain the heel. And we'll see how the crowd reacts ultimately.
Yeah. Oh, we had Jinder Mahal return last night too, unfortunately.
I did ask, was there anything noteworthy? I mean, listen.
And I almost just fell for that.
I mean, listen, he looked great. Shaved his head.
Yeah.
I've always thought Jinder is a good talent. He's put on the muscle. I like the music. I like the whole gimmick. It's just putting him in the right. I don't think he's a world champion.
Right. As long as he stays out of that title hunt, I'm fine with him being back. Do not belt back out.
Keep him mid card, and I'm okay. You want to make him a US IC champion? I'm good with that. But we don't need to have him. I
don't even mind them putting it on the US, like putting him in the US titles. How'd you miss what, Tara? Jinder Mahal coming back?
You probably fast forwarded right through it and didn't
Don't
even
blame
realize.
you. He beat Jeff Hardy. Need I say more?
Which is another issue. I mean, Jeff Hardy can't buy a win.
I think they're trying to use him to showcase the talent, honestly. He's the one guy that can make anybody look good.
I mean, I get it, but
it annoys me too. I know.
You know, this is Jeff freaking Hardy. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
That bothers me.
Yeah, another unworthy thing. We had another Eva Marie vignette.
You know, we were pretty hard on the promo video. I don't think the promo video was half bad, and I'm not just talking because she looked good in it. I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. I just still have no idea where it's going.
I don't care if it's good or bad. I don't want her here. So
well, you know what? Listen, like we said last week, you know, if they bring her back and she's a manager, I'm good with that. I am. I'm okay with that.
He ain't spending that money to get her
back. There are many other on-screen roles you can have without being a wrestler. So I'm hoping that's the route they go. I don't think, you know, we need to go through that again. But I have also heard that she has been in the PC Center for a while and she has been training. So I take that for what it is.
She was in the PC Center the first time. It did nothing.
That's fair.
You know, you can learn how to take a bump, but if you can't sell the bump or do anything, it's pointless no matter how long you're there.
Well, listen, to be fair, it's been a long time since we've seen her in the ring. Maybe she'll surprise us. I doubt it. But, you know, there is always that chance that we'll be surprised.
I'll be more surprised just if her clothes stays on. We'll do that.
Well, that's a win-win for us anyway.
It ain't a win-win for me, but
you know, I mean, listen, she does work hard on her body. I've seen videos of her and whatever his name is, her husband, and like their workout and shit. I think so, yeah.
Wow.
And I think he's still her quote-unquote manager, so he's basically living off hers.
No, that's. Mm-hmm. That pisses me off. They get rid of all the talent to bring back Eva Marie. Amen.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too. It's the fact that you let go Mickie James, the Iconics, Chelsea Green, and Samoa Joe, and you bring back Eva Marie. It makes no fucking sense at all. It bothers me very much. But
did you listen? Right a week before Chelsea Green's surgery too for the arm injury.
What about it?
They let her go a week before the surgery. So the surgery
I didn't realize
that she could return is when they let her go. That's pretty messed up.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty.
And she got her stuff in a garbage bag too. She confirmed it.
Well, they all did. I mean, they didn't just pick and choose who they were going to throw shit in their trash bag. They did it to everybody.
I guarantee you they didn't do it to Samoa Joe because whoever did it would have been dead.
Not if he ever wants to come back or be considered for the Hall of Fame. You know, it's like nowadays you just,
I'm intrigued to know though if it's only because it was Kamara that was if it was only the women that happened to. I'm actually intrigued to know that.
That's a fair question. If you find out, you let us know because that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Because I have never heard a single male ever say that anything from their dressing room or all that stuff was ever sent home. And I do recall hearing that a couple of years ago from Gail Kim and a couple of other superstars. But this is, Twitter and, social media wasn't as big back then. So you heard it through the grapevine, but you didn't really hear it. But more women have come out saying that happened to them. I have not heard a guy.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a very good question. If you find out, or Ryan, do your thing, find out for us, and we'll talk about that next week because I'd be curious to know.
Yeah,
that would be that would be real fucked up.
Yeah,
I mean that's before we wrap, I also just want to shout out Miz 24 on Peacock on WWE Network. Really well done.
It was. I have to see it still.
It was really well done. It takes you all the way back to the real world, They even have the producer, Bunham Murray or whatever the fuck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they talk about the real world. You find out some things that at least I didn't know. And then his transition to wrestling, and really well done. If you don't like The Miz, this may make you respect him a little bit more, because that kid really worked his ass off to get where he is, and he deserves every bit of it, as far as I'm concerned, especially after watching this. I mean, I was always a fan of The Miz. Eric had to be won over, which finally happened at some point, but even more so now, like if Eric still didn't like him, he would watch this, and I bet he would say, you know what? I respect the hell out of him. It
that's wasn't his fault that he got booked to win the title when he did,
Listen, they saw something in him to do it, especially against who it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and they were right that he had the talent. It just was a matter of bringing everything to the limelight.
I mean, I literally watched this, and I at the end I said I would be totally cool if they gave him another run, like a long-term run as champion. I would, because he fucking earned it and deserves it. I mean, what this guy went through, especially early on, go watch it. Yeah. It's worth it.
I thought the cash-in that he did this year with it and everything was brilliant. I had no problem with him. I think it should have been. I agree with how fast they did it because Bobby Lashley needed to win and they didn't want him pinning Drew. I get it. But I was happy with him having another title run. I just think the Money in the Bank thing for so fucking long was ridiculous. But
that was ridiculous. But the other thing too for me, I feel it's insulting.
Yeah.
You give a guy like Miz, who is your yes man, and is never hurt and always works and does his thing, and yet you could just give him the title for a week. Like, that's, to me, that's insulting.
And leaves his kids behind. He leaves Maurice behind with 2 daughters.
Right. Yeah.
Drew McIntyre. No, I'm sorry. The Miz beat Drew McIntyre, and then Bobby Lashley took it from The Miz.
Right. So, but yeah, so it was. But yes, he leaves her with the kids, but she also has help. I mean, she's got
Marjo,
and he's got Mrs. Dad, who's always there.
I love Marjo.
That show is fantastic. I love both of them. Mike's dad is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And Marjo is amazing. The whole show, that show is one of the funniest shows on television. Stacy doesn't even watch wrestling anymore. She can't stand it. She's gotten to a point. She'll say, let's put on Ms. and Mrs. She loves this show.
Did you see the episode with her on the treadmill?
Oh, yeah. I haven't missed an episode.
I'm sorry. I
haven't seen last night's yet, but
I didn't see last night's yet either. But when she got her dress caught in the treadmill and the treadmill ate her dress, oh my god!
My god, she falls a lot.
Yes,
she's very klutzy.
She fell in the pool, the kiddie pool.
Oh, that was. I literally damn near pissed myself. It was hilarious.
She did that, and then when she was doing the photo shoot and all the sprinklers come off, and he goes, "I'm liking this wet look." No, yeah. Mike, this is not a wet look. This is a you fucked up look.
Yeah, you're not kidding. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is top of the hour. Thank you for checking us out and tuning in. Let everyone know. Spread the word. The War Report podcast, live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. We're everywhere. If you want to catch us live, we're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. And then everywhere you can see a podcast within 24 to 48 hours of the show, it's up. Anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, it's there. Check us out. Tell your friends. We appreciate the interaction and the feedback along the way. Our numbers just keep going up and up and up, so we really appreciate it. And yeah, so on behalf of myself and Kat, thank you again for tuning in. This has been another edition of the War Report podcast. Join us next week, same time, same place. Hopefully we'll have the entire panel back, but
we can handle it.
We can clearly handle it. So thank you for checking us out, and we will see you next week.